the untold story of unsold cars. Have you ever driven past a car dealership and noticed all those rows of shiny brand new cars just sitting there? It makes you wonder, what actually happens to the cars that never get sold? Do they go back to the factory? Are they crushed into scrap metal? Or do they just sit there forever? Here's the surprising part. In today's market, more new cars are just sitting at dealerships than ever before. Take the Dodge Charger as an example. Right now, dealers are stuck with over 6,800 unsold Chargers, and they're sitting on the lot for an average of 312 days. That means at the current pace, these cars might take nearly a year to sell. And the Charger isn't the only one. Models like the Ford Bronco and the Infiniti QX80 are also slow to move off dealership lots. So what actually happens to these vehicles when no one wants to buy them? Today on Kinetic Horsepower, we're diving into what really goes on behind the scenes with unsold cars in the US. Before we jump in, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this kind of content. Let's get started. To really understand what happens to cars that don't sell, it helps to first understand how car dealerships operate. Contrary to what a lot of people think, dealerships don't own the cars you see on their lots. Just like when you or I take out a loan to buy a car, dealerships finance the vehicles they stock. They borrow money to pay the manufacturer up front, then try to sell those cars to customers. That means every single car sitting on a dealership lot is costing the dealer money. They're paying interest on the loan, insurance to keep the car covered, and rent for the space it takes up. So if a car sits too long without selling, it becomes a financial burden. And here's the thing, dealers can't just return those cars to the manufacturer. Once they buy them, they're stuck with them. One of the biggest challenges both car makers and dealers face is predicting what customers will want. Manufacturers build vehicles based on sales forecasts and trends, but they don't always get it right. Sometimes a new model looks great on paper, but turns out to be a dud when it hits the showroom floor. That's why dealers watch their inventory turnover rates closely. The industry goal is to sell a car within 60 to 90 days of receiving it, but when a car sits too long, something has to be done. Let's break down the 4 main ways dealerships try to move vehicles that aren't selling. Tactic 1: price drops and special deals. This is the most common way dealers try to clear out inventory. Drop the price or add incentives. Take the Ford Escape, for example. Based on data from CarEdge, dealerships across the US are sitting on nearly 58,000 unsold Escapes, with inventory levels lasting more than 6 months. To get buyers interested, dealers roll out big discounts and tempting offers. And it's not just the dealers. Manufacturers often jump in to help. If a certain model isn't selling well, the car company might offer 0% financing for a limited time cashback deals, employee pricing, attractive lease offers. Some dealers even throw in bonus bundles, like free maintenance, longer warranties, or higher trade-in values to sweeten the deal. The goal is to give buyers extra value without the dealer taking a huge loss. But what if even these offers don't work? Tactic 2: turning new cars into used cars. If a new car just refuses to sell, some dealerships get creative. They turn it into a used car. How? By putting it into their loaner fleet. Most dealerships have loaner cars for customers who are getting their cars serviced. If a new car isn't selling, they'll use it as a loaner for a few months. Once it has some mileage on it, the dealership can classify it as a used car, even if it's barely been driven. Now they can list it at a lower price. And since used cars tend to sell faster than new ones, this is a smart workaround. Another way they do this is by giving the car to an employee, like a sales manager, to drive around for a few months. Then it goes back to the lot as a demo car with a slight price cut. Some dealers also sell these barely used cars under certified pre-owned CPO programs. These come with extra warranties and inspections, giving buyers peace of mind. Buyers love it because they're getting a car that's practically new for a lot less money. But what if that still doesn't move the needle? Tactic 3: trading cars between dealerships. Car demand isn't the same everywhere. A convertible might sell quickly in sunny Florida, but sit untouched in snowy Minnesota. That's why dealerships sometimes trade vehicles with each other. If a car's not selling in one area, it might be worth more somewhere else. For example, a dealership in New York might trade a slow-selling luxury sedan to a dealership in California, where demand is higher. These trades are especially useful for specialty trims, rare colors, or models that just don't fit the local market. But if the car still doesn't find a buyer after all that, it's time for the final option. Tactic 4: selling at auction. Sending a car to auction is usually the last resort, but it happens more than most people think. These auctions take place all the time, with thousands of cars being sold between dealers. There are two main types: closed auctions. Only franchise dealers of a specific brand can participate. For example, a Ford-only auction where only Ford dealerships can bid. This helps keep prices stable within the brand. Open auctions, any licensed dealer can bid, so it's more of a free-for-all. Prices usually drop here, and used car dealerships often buy their inventory from these auctions at big discounts. The biggest name in the auction game is Mannheim, owned by Cox Automotive. If a car doesn't sell, chances are it ends up at a Mannheim auction and eventually gets picked up by another dealer. The thing is, cars that go to auction rarely sell at full price. Dealers usually take a loss, but it's better than letting a car sit around, draining money on interest and space. Fun fact, rental car companies are some of the biggest buyers at these auctions. So if you've ever rented a car, there's a chance it was once a slow-selling dealership vehicle that got auctioned off and added to the rental fleet. But there's one more fate some unsold cars face, and it might be the most surprising. So far, we've only talked about cars that made it to dealership lots, but sometimes manufacturers produce too many cars, and they realize it before even shipping them to dealers. A recent example? The overproduction of certain electric vehicles. Instead of sending those cars to dealerships and overwhelming the market, automakers sometimes go a different route: storage lots. Believe it or not, some manufacturers store thousands of unsold vehicles in huge storage areas, waiting for demand to catch up. Exports. Some cars that don't sell well in the US are shipped overseas to places where demand is higher, like South America, Africa, or parts of Asia. Scrapping and recycling. In rare cases, manufacturers choose to destroy the vehicles. Why? Because dumping them at rock bottom prices could hurt the brand's image. So instead, they scrap the cars, recycle the parts, and write off the losses. So next time you see a car sitting at a dealership for months, or even years, remember, it won't stay there forever. But that doesn't always mean someone's gonna drive it home. The bottom line, no matter how unpopular, expensive, or outdated a car may be, it will eventually get sold, one way or another. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. What's the best car deal you've ever come across? Let's talk about it down in the comments. Jacqueline wants to hear from you.